Welcome everybody. Impromptu live stream here with my beautifully white palette and a study here. And I love this study, but I want to simplify the foreground a little bit. I like everything else going on here, so I thought I'd just live stream it. I've sitting in my new studio and I have the opportunity to, so I think let's go for it. And I'm just going to start with these darks of this tree. And ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, it's kind of that avenue, tiny bit of white, a little bit of yellow. And we're just going to create this dark here. Just fill it in. Like this different direction of the tree. It angles this way, then it angles shallower over here. I love that. Little nuance. This comes like this. And it's a little bit cooler down below, so I'm going to add a little bit of ultramarine blue here. Come up with that. And we'll worry about the rest of the nuances in there in a second. We gotta get the right value for this. Well, let's put in this little bit of blue, which I know is a little bit of white, it's ultramarine blue. A little bit lighter. And we'll just put that in there. Maybe could have gone a little bit lighter. Values are all relative, of course, so we'll put that in. That works. And then this is a nice, interesting, muted green. Kind of hold it up. See the difference? That's a little bit too dark. Don't need it much different. One value for now. As we come across, we get lighter. I'll deal with that in a minute. Let's see here. Yep. I like that. Let's add a little bit of white, and we'll. Just change that value slightly down here. There we are. We'll see. Maybe that got a little bit too light. But that's okay. We can darken it up again as needed. And I do this. I do it darker on the left-hand side to help guide you in through a transition of value. So it's darker on this side than it is on the right-hand side. All right, we'll put in this little green aspect of it here. Back trees. Just light. This is an impromptu live stream. Maybe I'll start scheduling them a little bit more frequently now that I got a studio I can work from. I'll put this in. Canvas green is giving me a little bit of trouble. It's not the best gesso canvas. So a little bit darker again. Darker on the right hand side or left hand side. Kind of draws you into the left or to the right, or left to right. There we go. These values matching is kind of nice. It just lost edges, right? We'll see. We'll play with that. And before I get into the base here, I just want to do the sky. Because the bottom is where I want to figure out. I want to do a much more simple transition shape. There's almost too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's like 7 shapes, and I want a little more consistency. more simplicity. The idea with this piece is it's going to go large, like a 40 by 40 inch, and this is right now a 6 by 6. Let's see here. Sky over the mountains, it kind of gives a nice atmospheric effect. And then even with the sky lighter by the mountains. How far can we push it? So each shape is very simple, but they have a gradation in them, and then I'm going to push the yellow a little bit darker up top, maybe one little bit more. And so this just creates interest, right? Variety. Variety is what those pencil marks are showing up. It's annoying. Variety is what makes interesting compositions or interesting paintings. All right. Quick wash of the brush. Now I want to get rid of this base, but I really love this blue here. I mean, the sun is coming off to the right. Really love this blue. Maybe we can carry the blue through here as a main wash. And then here's the lighter green. And so the lighter green, or mid-green, can mix with the darker blue. Let's give that a shot. What do we want to start with? Well, let's start with the darker blue. I call this a steel blue, and it's just ultramarine blue mixed with my transparent red oxide. It just creates a nice semi-muted blue. Do a test. A bit dark. A little bit of white. I think that's a bit. Careful with the white. A little bit dark. Values are also important. I got to keep that value relationship. Not bad. I think we can go with a little more chroma in there, a little more ultra. And so I'm going to go here. Let's fill this all in. But each has a shape, right? This jogs. And it creates a nice, interesting shape within there. And maybe to do a transition, I'll make it a little more chromatic by the trees. There we are. And then we have this lighter green, mid-green. So the green is lighter than the back trees, lighter than the trees to the right, of course, and it's going to be lighter than the blue. Cobalt enhance the yellow with some white, which cools it. We're going to go back into yellow. I'm thinking it might be too dark. Yes, we need it lighter than the foreground trees, or the midground trees, sorry. Let's see. Not bad. I think I like that because we have a place to go with that. We can go lighter for this nuance there. Although it's very similar in value, so I think we're just going to reduce that quite a bit. I thought we were there, but not really. A little warmer. So it's about mixing, testing. Why lay down paint that is wrong? I'd rather keep on mixing and testing than laying down a mixture that won't work and then having to scrape it off and repaint it. That's better. And so just try to go back and forth with this mixture. Kind of like how that's happening. little gradation there. Nice. That's much more simple, cleaner, I find. And I bet you we could even come in with some of this beautiful blue there for sort of like a piece de resistance. Now you can't be too light because it's still in shadow. Yeah, I like that. Just some fun little shadow mark. We don't want to get away from it too much in terms of our focal point being here. And before I put that in, let's work into this final tree here. And yes, there's nuances here that need to be worked out, but generally my whole focus was just trying to figure out how to simplify this ground plane. And we're going to take this mixture that we had, it's a little bit more sienna-y, with the blue, make it a little more green. Slightly lighter. It's just a nuance of it up here. You might not be able to see it, but there's a nice little nuance here of green. Nice. And over here, of course, we have this beautiful sienna. Yeah. Let's try pushing up the ISO a little bit for everybody to see. And we have the same dark mix. It's a little more on the sienna side. And a little bit there. And then it comes down on this tree here. And this is just sort of sun kissing over the tree, hitting this edge. Maybe a little bit down here as well. Don't want to keep it, you don't want to complicate it. And to give this some interest, it's mostly a warm tone because of the sienna. I'm going to remix it and go a little bit heavier on the ultramarine tone. That way it's a little bit cooler. And then from here, we do a gradation not in so much value, but in temperature, which in itself is quite interesting. It's very nuanced. So that's the things that you'll notice when you come up to the painting after you see it on the wall and you're interested in it. You'll come up to it and then you'll say, oh, look at those nuances and those temperatures. All right. I really like that. It's kind of mimicking that. And for the last part, I want to get this nice yellow right there. So it's just a light yellow. Maybe a little bit of viridian to give it a green sense because we are on the pasture plain where there probably is more greeny yellow than it is yellow like this guy. Do a test. I like that. And if you can see on the palette, what I'm doing is I'm mixing my paint, but then I take my brush and I push it through. And what that does is it provides a nice shape of paint on that brush. And the flatter your brush is to your canvas, the more paint that comes off. So my print brush is pretty flat. And I'll just do a nice little stroke. Nice. And maybe a little bit of nuance to the left. I don't know, it might not work. Just to break up the shape a little bit. Remember, I gotta keep it simple. I'm gonna fill that little bit of white there. I think I can make this work. I really like the simplicity of this now. Maybe we can go in and just do it a little darker. Do a test. It's not dark enough. something, a little splash of chromic. So chroma, high chroma value, low chroma value adds a little bit of interest. Debatable if it's too much out there. But I'm liking how this develops, especially with the nuance of the green and the high chroma sienna there. I think I'll just adjust that one more time. And this transparent red oxide has a saturation point in terms of it starts to get low chromatic when too much white is added to it. And so I'm just going to rely on some of my transparent orange here to help boost the chromacy of it. Get a little bit on my brush. That's probably way too high in terms of value. I got to really knock that down a bit. Do a test. That's better. So the value is brighter than what we have initially, but it's not so bright that it stands out garishly. There we go. So imagine this 40 by 40. That'd be just amazing. The brushes would have to get very large. But we'll see how that is. Where there's darks again, bring them up. Add some little detail here and there to break up these shapes. Make it a little bit more interesting. This shape here got a little bit too mundane, so I think maybe what we can do is just add a tiny bit of white to it. And just a tiny bit of yellow because the sun's coming over. And there can be a stroke of light hitting it like this. And this begs the differ that this distant mountain, that blue distant mountain, isn't distant enough. So I'll just remix that value. And painting, as I've said before, that I've read somewhere, is nothing more than a series correction. So when I first put this value down for that distant mountain, I thought it was correct. After we get all of everything else in, we notice that it is not correct. So we just adjust for it. There we are. And that's a little bit nicer. Maybe add a little bit of yellow because it's in the distance. Warm that blue up. Right in that area. I like that. I like that quite a bit. I think there can be some nuance adjustments in this mid-ground tree in terms of that value. Let's see where I am here. Maybe just throw a little more darks in there. That'll help punch out that light, and then that means I think I gotta go darker on the left. So everything relates to one another. Let's see here. And don't overmix it. It loses that freshness. I think we got a little bit of there we are. I really like how this simplified the ground plane. This is interesting for smaller pieces, but I think when I'm going large, I really need to simplify. I really like that. We do have some nuance of sienna in there that I think I have to add. Sorry about that. My voice is very echoey. I am in an echoey place, so I'm hoping it is readable. I'll know when I rewatch this, but I am close to the microphone, so I will try to get better. My apologies. Let's see here. Maybe a little slice of sienna. Thanks for the feedback. Really appreciate it. Nice. I think I'm going to add a little bit of sienna in the trees as well. Nice light touch. There we are. We don't want to go too heavy and compete with this sienna. Go back into this dark. Yeah. So simplified the shape here, but it's still interesting shape. Has some variety to it. Nice simple gradation with a couple brush strokes. Some interest here. Arguably maybe we can go darker here, but the whole point of this I think was just to find a good balance between simplicity in the ground plane and the rest of the painting. If I wanted to, I could kind of clean this up a little bit. Maybe try to lift some of that paint to give it a little bit of interest so it's not so dark. But overall, I think I'm happy with that. I like how that's worked out for me. I think this is a much better direction. So let's see it with the tape off. That'll be the true test. I just got to put some pins in here. And this is just gessoed canvas that I pinned to my wall. For these studies, it's so much easier to do it this way than have a stretched canvas we're working on. Oil paper. I really like canvas over oiled or gessoed paper. Board is another really good substrate, but these are just studies, so the canvas is a lot cheaper. So I think that looks really good in terms of the simplicity. I love this, but I think I love this more, especially if this goes larger, 40 by 40. So I'm glad you dropped in, everybody. This will be on replay shortly, and I will try to schedule these live streams a little more ahead of time. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.